One of the biggest concerns with remarrying after 70 is the financial complexity it creates. At this stage of life, most seniors have already built up their assets, pensions, savings, and sometimes even family properties meant to be passed on to children or grandchildren. Entering into a new marriage can unintentionally complicate these plans, often leading to inheritance disputes and family conflicts. When a senior remarries, the new spouse may become legally entitled to a share of assets, even if the intention was for children to inherit everything. This situation frequently causes tension within families, as adult children may feel threatened or excluded by the new marriage. Courts often side with the legal spouse in disputes, which can leave biological heirs fighting long and costly battles to claim what they believe rightfully belongs to them. Additionally, financial obligations such as property rights, shared accounts, and spousal claims in case of death or divorce can place seniors in vulnerable positions. Many underestimate how a remarriage can automatically change wills, beneficiary designations, or estate plans. Without careful legal planning, decades of financial effort can be redirected in unintended ways, creating resentment and division among loved ones. Another financial layer is the risk of hidden debts or financial responsibilities from the new partner. Seniors may unknowingly take on liabilities that drain their retirement savings or create unnecessary financial stress. This is particularly concerning if one partner has medical debts or lacks financial stability, which could burden the other in their later years. Moreover, remarriage can also impact tax planning. Seniors who once benefited from certain tax breaks as widows or widowers may find themselves paying higher taxes as part of a married couple. In some cases, this reduces disposable income and affects overall financial security in retirement. For seniors who have already reached a stage where peace of mind and stability are paramount, financial complications from remarriage can bring the opposite: confusion, disputes, and loss of control. Senior life experts often advise that companionship and partnership without legal marriage, such as cohabitation or long-term companionship, can provide emotional support without jeopardizing financial stability. In short, what begins as a loving union can quickly turn into a financial maze. Protecting wealth, ensuring inheritance for future generations, and avoiding unnecessary legal disputes are strong reasons why experts urge caution before remarrying after 70. For many seniors, remarriage after 70 begins with hopeful intentions, companionship, emotional support, and the desire to avoid loneliness. However, senior life experts warn that such marriages often carry a higher risk of regret compared to simply maintaining companionship without legally binding commitments. At this stage of life, the practical challenges of marriage often outweigh the romantic ideals, leaving many wishing they had chosen a less complicated path. One major source of regret comes from the unexpected consequences remarriage brings: financial complications, family conflicts, or loss of benefits. Seniors who remarry sometimes find that these hidden costs overshadow the emotional comfort they initially sought. Instead of finding peace, they encounter stress, disputes, or feelings of entrapment, leading to the painful realization that companionship without marriage would have been a simpler and more fulfilling option. Another source of regret stems from strained family dynamics. Seniors who lose closeness with their children or grandchildren due to remarriage often experience deep sadness. They may not anticipate how strongly their family will react, but once relationships are damaged, it can be difficult to repair them. This regret is particularly sharp because, for most seniors, family bonds are a primary source of joy and emotional security in later years. Additionally, regret often arises from the loss of personal freedom. Seniors who enjoyed independence before remarriage may find themselves tied to obligations, routines, and compromises they did not expect to feel so burdensome. When the realities of married life clash with the desire for autonomy, many realize that staying single while enjoying companionship might have been the better choice. Health challenges can also trigger regret. A senior who remarries may suddenly become a caregiver, or conversely, may feel guilty relying heavily on a new spouse. These situations often replace companionship with obligation, leading to disappointment and stress rather than joy. Experts highlight that non-marital companionship, whether through close friendships, community engagement, or long-term partnerships without marriage, offers seniors the emotional fulfillment they seek without the complications that marriage introduces. This approach allows seniors to enjoy love, support, and closeness while retaining control over finances, family harmony, and independence. Ultimately, regret often comes from realizing too late that marriage was not necessary to achieve happiness. Companionship can be found in many forms, and for seniors over 70, avoiding remarriage may prevent the heartache of discovering that love could have been enjoyed without the complications of a legal bond. One of the great rewards of reaching the later stages of life is the freedom that comes with it. After decades of responsibilities, raising children, managing careers, and fulfilling family obligations, many seniors finally enjoy the independence to live on their own terms. However, remarriage after 70 can unintentionally strip away much of this hard-earned freedom, replacing it with new obligations, compromises, and limitations. Marriage at any age requires adjustment, but in later years, those adjustments can feel more restrictive. Seniors who are accustomed to setting their own routines, when to eat, sleep, travel, or pursue hobbies, may suddenly find themselves having to consider a partner's preferences and needs. While this compromise can be natural in younger marriages, it may feel stifling in older age, when independence is especially cherished. Financial independence is also affected. A remarried senior often has to merge finances, share expenses, or make joint decisions about money. For someone who has managed their own budget for years, this loss of autonomy can be frustrating. It may also create conflicts if the new spouse has different spending habits, financial goals, or expectations about lifestyle. Living arrangements are another area where freedom can be curtailed. Seniors may have been comfortable in their home, surrounded by memories and familiarity, but remarriage could mean moving in with a spouse or adjusting to a different environment. Leaving behind a beloved home, neighborhood, or even community ties can feel like a sacrifice rather than a fresh start. Personal independence extends beyond finances and living space. It includes health decisions, travel plans, and social interactions. Seniors may want to spend more time with grandchildren, travel with friends, or focus on personal projects, but a new spouse might not share the same priorities. Over time, the constant need to negotiate or compromise can lead to feelings of restriction, resentment, or even regret. Many seniors also value solitude in their later years, appreciating quiet moments of reflection, rest, and self-discovery. Remarriage can interrupt this peace, as sharing a household naturally reduces personal space. For those who have enjoyed years of self-sufficiency, the shift can feel like losing control over their own life. Senior life experts often suggest companionship without marriage as a healthier option. This allows seniors to enjoy closeness and support while retaining control over their independence. After 70, freedom is one of the most valuable assets, and protecting it may be more fulfilling than entering into a new marriage. Remarrying after 70 can unintentionally place a heavy strain on long-standing friendships and established social circles. By this age, most seniors have built decades of trusted relationships through shared experiences, community activities, or mutual connections with their late spouse. Introducing a new partner into these circles can disrupt the delicate balance of familiarity and comfort that seniors rely on for emotional support. Friends and peers often struggle to accept a new spouse, especially if they were close to the deceased partner. Some may feel the senior is moving on too quickly, while others may see the new relationship as disrespectful to old memories. Even if the remarriage happens years after the loss, friends who are protective of the senior might question the motives of the new spouse. This skepticism can create distance, awkwardness, or even a complete breakdown in previously strong friendships. Social circles also change when a new spouse brings their own network into the mix. Seniors who were used to long-standing traditions with old friends may find themselves spending more time with their partner's acquaintances instead, which can feel unfamiliar and even isolating. Differences in values, interests, or lifestyles between the two social groups can create further stress, forcing the senior to choose between old friends and new obligations. Additionally, remarriage often shifts priorities. Seniors who once enjoyed traveling with friends, attending community clubs, or participating in group activities may suddenly redirect their time and attention to their spouse. Friends can perceive this as abandonment or loss of closeness, which gradually erodes the bonds built over many years. This sense of separation is particularly painful at an age when social connections are vital for mental and emotional health. Another issue is the potential awkwardness when adult children and grandchildren interact with the new spouse during social events. Friends who witness family tension may distance themselves to avoid involvement in conflicts, leaving the senior feeling even more isolated. The ripple effect of remarriage can thus extend far beyond the couple, touching every corner of their social life. Senior life experts often emphasize the importance of maintaining stable friendships in later years, as these relationships provide joy, emotional balance, and a sense of belonging. Remarriage, while offering companionship, can sometimes disrupt this stability. For many, nurturing friendships and companionship outside of marriage proves to be a healthier way to preserve both personal happiness and community ties. One of the most alarming dangers of remarrying after 70 is the heightened risk of elder exploitation or manipulation. As people age, they often become more vulnerable, emotionally, physically, and financially. Unscrupulous individuals may take advantage of this vulnerability, entering into marriages not for love or companionship, but for personal gain. Sadly, many seniors are unaware of the risks until it is too late. Financial exploitation is the most common form. A new spouse may gain access to bank accounts, properties, pensions, or savings, sometimes convincing the senior to change wills or make joint accounts. In cases where the marriage is built on manipulation, seniors may lose a lifetime of savings to a partner who had no intention of genuine commitment. Once assets are transferred or legal rights are granted, it becomes nearly impossible for families to reverse the damage. Manipulation is not always financial, it can also be emotional. Seniors may crave companionship after the loss of a spouse, and this emotional need makes them more susceptible to flattery, attention, and promises. A manipulative partner may use this vulnerability to isolate the senior from family and friends, creating dependency. Over time, the senior may feel trapped, controlled, and unable to make independent choices. Elder abuse, unfortunately, is another risk tied to late-life remarriage. Cases of psychological abuse, neglect, or even physical mistreatment often go unnoticed because the new spouse becomes the primary caregiver. Adult children may assume their parent is being looked after, when in reality, the situation could involve mistreatment behind closed doors. This exploitation can severely affect not only the senior's well-being but also their dignity in their final years. Experts also warn that seniors with cognitive decline, such as early dementia, are especially at risk. They may not fully understand the financial or legal implications of remarriage, leaving them exposed to manipulation. Unscrupulous individuals sometimes deliberately target vulnerable seniors for this reason, knowing that their decisions can be easily influenced. To protect themselves, many seniors are advised to seek companionship without entering a legal marriage. By keeping finances separate and avoiding binding commitments, they can enjoy emotional support without risking exploitation. Families are also encouraged to stay involved and open communication about relationships later in life to prevent secrecy and potential abuse. Ultimately, while love and companionship are important at any age, remarriage after 70 carries a real danger of exploitation. Preserving independence, financial security, and emotional safety often outweighs the risks of placing full trust in a late-life marriage. One of the most underestimated challenges of remarrying after 70 is the emotional stress caused by blending families. At this stage of life, most seniors already have adult children, grandchildren, and even great-grandchildren. Introducing a new spouse into the family dynamic often stirs up complex emotions, jealousy, mistrust, fear of losing inheritance, or even a sense of betrayal toward the deceased parent. Instead of the marriage bringing joy and harmony, it can sometimes trigger conflict, division, and long-lasting resentment. Adult children may feel uncomfortable with their parents' decision to remarry, interpreting it as a replacement of the other parent or a disregard for their memory. This can create tension at family gatherings, strain communication, and in some cases, lead to estrangement. Seniors who remarry may find themselves torn between loyalty to their new spouse and maintaining peace with their children and grandchildren, creating constant emotional pressure. Another layer of difficulty arises when the new spouse brings their own family into the picture. Blended families often struggle with boundaries, deciding who inherits what, who gets priority during holidays, or even how caregiving responsibilities will be shared if illness arises. These issues are rarely straightforward and can cause ongoing disputes. For seniors who seek calm and companionship in their later years, this type of emotional turmoil can feel overwhelming. Moreover, family acceptance is crucial for a senior's emotional well-being. Research shows that seniors thrive best when surrounded by supportive children and grandchildren. When remarriage threatens those bonds, it can lead to loneliness and isolation, even within the new marriage. Some seniors end up regretting remarriage not because of their partner, but because of the relationships it damaged with their own family. The emotional stress of blending families can also spill over into the marriage itself. Disagreements about money, living arrangements, or family priorities often create friction between spouses. For example, one partner may feel obligated to financially support their children, while the other disagrees, leading to resentment and conflict. Senior life experts suggest that, rather than remarrying, companionship through friendship, long-term partnership, or community involvement can provide emotional fulfillment without the strain of family conflicts. At an age where peace of mind and family harmony are most important, seniors must weigh whether remarriage is worth the emotional battles it can ignite. At age 70 and beyond, health inevitably becomes a central part of life. Most seniors face a gradual decline in physical strength, and some develop chronic conditions that require ongoing management. When remarriage occurs at this stage, it often comes with unexpected health and caregiving responsibilities that can place enormous strain on both partners. What initially seems like a fresh chance at companionship may quickly turn into a heavy burden neither spouse was fully prepared for. Caring for a partner with health issues requires significant time, energy, and emotional resilience. Seniors who remarry may suddenly find themselves responsible for daily tasks such as medication management, doctor's visits, meal preparation, and even physical assistance with mobility. While these responsibilities may be manageable in younger marriages, at an older age they can overwhelm the spouse, who may already be dealing with their own health challenges. This situation can lead to stress, fatigue, and even accelerated decline in the caregiver's well-being. The burden is not only physical but also financial. Medical costs for seniors are often high, and when one spouse falls ill, the other may have to dip into savings or rely on limited retirement income to cover treatment. Insurance coverage may not always be sufficient, particularly if one partner has a history of medical problems. As a result, the couple's financial security can be jeopardized, creating anxiety and strain in the relationship. Another overlooked challenge is the emotional toll of watching a partner decline. Seniors who remarry later in life often hope for companionship and joy, but they may instead find themselves coping with grief, frustration, and loneliness within the marriage. Unlike earlier in life, where couples may have had decades to grow together before facing such challenges, late-life marriages often jump directly into the phase where illness and caregiving dominate daily living. In some cases, caregiving expectations can even lead to resentment. Adult children of one partner may assume the new spouse will take care of their parent, withdrawing their own involvement and leaving the senior with an overwhelming responsibility. This dynamic not only creates tension but can also isolate the caregiver from the wider family support system. Senior life experts emphasize that companionship does not always require legal marriage. Choosing companionship without formal remarriage allows seniors to maintain emotional closeness without legally binding caregiving responsibilities. At an age where peace, stability, and personal health should be prioritized, avoiding the added caregiving burden of remarriage is often the wisest choice. One of the most overlooked but critical reasons seniors are advised not to remarry after 70 is the potential loss of government and pension benefits. Many retirees rely heavily on these income sources to maintain their independence and quality of life, but remarriage can disrupt eligibility. What seems like a personal decision about companionship often comes with unexpected financial consequences that can last a lifetime. For example, widows or widowers who receive survivor benefits from Social Security may lose them if they remarry before a certain age. Although some regulations vary by country and system, it is common that remarriage can terminate or reduce benefits. This can represent a significant cut in income, especially for seniors who depend on those funds to cover daily expenses, healthcare, or long-term care. Similarly, pensions from a deceased spouse's employer are often conditional. Once the surviving spouse remarries, those benefits may stop. Losing such a steady source of income can create financial instability at an age when opportunities to rebuild or earn more money are limited. Health insurance is another area where remarriage can complicate matters. Seniors may lose access to medical coverage tied to a deceased spouse's plan or military benefits if they remarry. Since healthcare costs tend to rise significantly in old age, this shift can leave a senior facing higher out-of-pocket expenses or forced to buy new insurance at elevated rates. For many, this means a sudden and overwhelming increase in financial burden. In addition, pensions and government programs are designed with eligibility rules to prevent double-dipping. By remarrying, seniors may unintentionally disqualify themselves from programs that once ensured their comfort and independence. Family members often only realize the extent of these losses after the marriage, when it becomes too late to reverse the decision. What makes this issue even more serious is that most seniors assume their financial situation will remain unchanged with remarriage. In reality, legal marital status directly affects benefit entitlements. Losing benefits doesn't just reduce monthly income, it can also lead to dependence on children or relatives, eroding the independence many seniors work hard to maintain. For this reason, experts often encourage seniors to carefully review the fine print of their benefits and consult financial advisors before considering remarriage. While companionship is essential, protecting guaranteed income and medical security should remain a top priority in later years. Ultimately, avoiding remarriage may be the simplest way to safeguard these benefits and ensure peace of mind in retirement.